courage, and there's only one animal in South Africa that displays courage. I was going to put the springbok on here, but it's the springbok team tomorrow, not today. So today I thought about our honey badger. If you want to go Google our honey badger, it's probably the most courageous animal that there is on the planet. A honey badger fights way above its weight. It'll take on a full adult lion, I kid you not, and win. They are phenomenal animals. We run a program called the Honey Badger Boot Camp for youth in the Southern Cape, and we put a couple of hundred kids through various camps. We're putting them on a survival camp at the end of September. If you want to come and live 4 days on the side of a mountain with a teaspoon, and I think just a teaspoon, to learn a little bit about yourself and to do that. And we call that the Honey Badger Survival Camp. So we've got a tin of courage in our next thing, and we're going to be playing with these a little bit later. So our next speaker, Brian. Brian is a youth pastor, a motivational speaker, and a certified life coach. He's a financial consultant and an author. You see something in common amongst our speakers here, okay? You want to learn something, go write a book. You don't have to know stuff before you write a book. Boy, do you learn when you're writing a book. Okay, better than a university, no, as equal to a university. I wrote a book, really interesting there. So Brian works mostly in South Africa, but has affiliations in Zimbabwe and Eswatini, okay, Swaziland. Did you know Swaziland changed its name? I saw people like, what? This Swaziland? No, it's different. It's the youngest country in the world. And he works with vulnerable children and orphans. Brian is also a regular on TV. Okay, you can find him on Cape TV and radio, where he hosts various talk shows. And Brian is known among his friends as the guy to come to for help and guidance when facing an uphill season in their life. Today, Brian is going to come and talk to us a little bit about courage. So hold on to your seats. I believe we've kept the best. No, I'm kidding. All right. The best for last. All right. Welcome Brian to the front. Don't let me down.
Thank you, Bruce. Wow. If you see me sweating, it's not because I'm nervous, it's simply because I'm wearing too many clothes. What a day it has been, and it's an awesome pleasure for me to stand before you. I feel like I've been given a topic that I'm actually struggling with myself. Courage. Growing up, when I heard the word courage, I would think of David facing the lions. I would think of David fighting the giant Goliath. And yes, courage is about being able to face our bullies, to face our fears. But as you grow, you soon discover that it actually means so much more than that. Courage, like already my friends have already alluded, is about coming out of your comfort zone. It's about being willing to take the next step even when you are uncertain that you're going to attain your goals. It's about deciding to say, you know what, I'll still walk all the way with my dog. I don't know if I'm going to make it, but at least I'm going to take that step. It's about going to that person who you see and you feel intimidated to go offer or pitch your business or your idea, but still saying, even if they say no, I'm still going to try. It's about, yes, they've denied your book, they said no, and you still write again. And yes, they've not accepted you when you applied for that position or for whatever you wanted to apply for, and saying, I won't give up. That is courage. When I think of courage, I think of a toddler crawling and then seeing everybody walking and then saying, but I can also do that. I can also do that. I also have 2 feet. So instead of walking on 4 feet, let me try and stand. And he stands and holds on to a chair or to a table, and he begins to walk, and he falls down, and yet he does not stay down. He stands up again and walks again. So to me, when I see everybody who can walk, what it simply means is we all have this thing called courage. But somewhere along the line, we forget it or we miss it. And then we look and sit and admire the ones in front, not knowing that you sitting there could be the one speaking. So courage is much deeper than that. And what is happening, as my friends have already spoken about, curiosity and creativity. We are living in changing times where the only constant is that change is happening every day, every hour, every minute, and every second. Such that we're having to relearn everything that we knew. We're having to change our mindset daily and weekly. We're having to examine our own life to see, is this working or is it not working? And all of that takes courage. Now, in trying to rediscover and learn more about ourselves and the world around us, there also come certain things that are negative, like fear, like insecurity, like worries, because you see that as you look around, there's also a bit of chaos in the world and also in your own life. The ideas are not fully shaped, yet you still need to move with that idea. So fears, such that you begin to worry, am I worth it? Can I make it? Can I do this? And yes, when you try, and certain responses from the world, when you put yourself out there, they make you feel like, yes, you are not worth it, and you cannot make it, and you don't deserve it. But what I want to remind you is you still have to be curious to say, if this one said no, what's the reason why? And how can I be creative to change it better? Because many times, it's not that your idea is not worth it. Even as a business, maybe your idea just needs to be changed, or maybe you're pitching it to the wrong people. So all of that takes courage. It takes courage nowadays to just wake up from your house and walk out because you don't know what's going to happen. It takes courage to even continue with your studies because you don't know, am I going to make it or not? It takes courage to be continually running your business, facing losses and profits, going up and down. It takes a lot of courage. Having said that, when I look at my life, I'm one of the people that have had to face this thing called courage. And time again, remind myself that yes, I might not be exactly where I want to be, but I have to keep on going. One of the things, as you have heard me being introduced, I'm more of a youth pastor. So when they ask me what I own the most, the thing that came to my mind is my Bible. So me even speaking in front of you, it's a different platform altogether. But then the very same principles of David facing the lions and the giants are the very same principles that we need to face the giants in our world in different spheres. Having said that, I want to share a short story. So a father had a young man, a son. The father had done well in his own life, and yet he was trying to force his son or to push his son to say, my son, you don't need to be carried on my back. You can make something out of yourself. You don't need to try and tap into your own curiosity. Be curious to who you are and to what you can bring. Don't just conform simply because I'm a lawyer and you say, I'm just going to follow the footsteps. You need to create something for yourself. But the son was reluctant and comfortable and chilled because he said, I've got everything already. So the father had to say, okay, I've tried different means and different forms. If I keep on doing the same thing, I'm going to get the same results. So now I have to be curious to say, what are the tools outside the box that I can use, and let me use those. So the father decides and says, listen, young man, I'm an old man already, and soon I'll be gone. But I set something for you that is apart from my law firm and the money in the bank. I've got a hidden treasure that I want you to go and take. You're going to have to travel. And the son gets excited. Treasure. I'm sure if all of us are given a treasure map and we're told there's a certain treasure, we want to see what the treasure is. I was laughing with Madi. She said, I can't wait to open this gift. It's a treasure. It's already a treasure. So this young man gets excited. Is it diamonds? Is it golds? What is it? My father told me that if I get this treasure, it will change my life forever. So he packs on his bag, like how he did with his dog. Packs on his bags and begins to walk. He was under the impression that it's a short journey, but he didn't realize that the journey is longer than he had anticipated. He goes through summer, spring, winter, autumn, rain, cold, desert, mountains, valleys, but he keeps on going because he's excited about getting the treasure and he can't wait to get it. So he doesn't bother that it's taking more. He just keeps on going. But as he's going, the food runs out, the clothes that he has begins to get tattered and shattered. But he keeps on going because he wants to attain his own treasure. And then he gets to the place. He's excited. Finally, X marks the spot. I'm going to find my treasure. He begins to dig. He's excited. At a certain point in time, he hits a rock and he thinks, could this be the treasure chest? Only to discover it's a rock. He's a bit disappointed, but he says, I'll find my treasure. He keeps on digging, only to discover that there is no treasure. He's angry. Did his father lie to him? Who stole his treasure? Was it a scam? And then going through emotions, anger, depression, crying, anxiety. How am I going to make it in this world without that treasure? Because that treasure is everything to me. In going through all those things, he sits back and becomes curious to say, how did I get here? Then he realized that all his life, his father had done so many things for him, yet he missed it. And he's moved away distance and seasons to come look for treasure, not knowing that already a treasure. So he soon realized and says, my father is an old man. What if when I get home, my father is no longer there? And then something happens to him. He says, I'll go back to my father and say, Father, I'm sorry that all these years you were trying to push me to come out of my comfort zone, to at least dare to dream, dare to be different, to try something out, and I never had the courage. I'm sorry that I never listened to everything that you had to say. But now I realize that I had so much more. And Father, I'm sorry that the treasure that you had saved up for me and buried for me is not there. So he begins to walk back. But as he begins to walk back, he's no longer in a hurry, because we live in a world where we're constantly running around, trying to meet deadlines and goals, such that you can't even sit for a few hours in a place that will change your life. So as he's walking back, he becomes more curious. He begins to see the sunset, the sunrise. He begins to look at the animals around him. He begins to learn about the different cultures through the villages he passes. He learns the people. He connects and networks. He begins to be curious. And even about himself, he begins to learn things about himself that he never knew. But all that, I remember a quote that says, whenever we look in another person's eye, we see a reflection of ourselves, because in each and every person, there's a bit of me and you. So he begins to be open-minded. But in doing that, he begins to learn and is able to develop. He begins to be creative, because it's not about not having resources. It's about being unresourceful. Because as much as the clothes were tattered, but he could hunt and create some attire for himself. He could learn how to hunt and fish and get different fruits along the way. So by the time he gets to his father, he goes to his father and says, Father, I'm so sorry that all these years I never appreciated what you were trying to do for me. And the father says, my son, I'm just happy to see you back. And the son, crying, says, Father, I'm sorry that the treasure you have saved up for me, I could not find it. The father says, it's okay, my son, but tell me, I can see that you look so well. You look healthy, you look happy, and it looks like you have actually amassed and accumulated a bit of wealth. Tell me about your journey. The young man wipes away the tears and said, Father, I went out looking for gold and diamonds and silver, but I discovered something that is worth of more value than all those things. I discovered the courage to come out of my comfort zone, to leave the known, to face the unknown, to keep on going, even when I felt like giving up. I discovered the courage to be able to open myself to experiences that I would never have experienced if I stayed back. I discovered that with the skills and the knowledge and the people around me and the resources, I could create something that is valuable, and that's the reason why I've amassed a certain wealth. So now I don't need to be riding on your own back. I can create things of my own. So even as entrepreneurs, we can say we are going out to look for gold, silver, and rands. But it's really about being courageous to create something that is different, that is unique, and to bring it to the world. Because each and every one of us has something that is unique, that if we have the curiosity to tap into that and to unleash our potential, we will all be like the very people that we admire. So instead of sitting and looking at those in the arena, we can also be in the arena and be daring and courageous to go for our dream. We can be courageous enough to face our fears. When I think of fear as an acronym. False evidence appearing real. Many things that we are afraid of that are holding us back are simply things in our head. They are not things in the world. All we need is the courage to face them. And then there are those who still have fear, but they have a different fear altogether. They have fear, and that is F for face, E for everything, A for end, and R for rise. So they have fear, but they face everything and rise above it. And it is possible for all of us. I want to quickly say a quote that I love so much. It's by Theodore Roosevelt, 23 April 1910 in Paris. I won't obviously say it according to what's written in that book, but I'm going to say it as I remember it. It says, the credit is not for the person sitting in the arena. It is not the one who points out the strong man stumbles. It is not the one who looks and says the doer of the deeds could have done this better. The credit actually, ladies and gentlemen, belongs to the person who's in the arena, though covered with sweat, blood, and dust. They keep on going because they know that in daring they will achieve greatness. They know that in trying you're going to fall time and time again, but they refuse to allow to be called failures. Simply because they have failed, they don't call themselves failures. They keep on trying and trying, and at the end they know the enthusiasm. They know that by being curious and creative they can bring something magnificent. And even if, for example, or worst case scenario, they fail, they know that they will never be counted among those who are fearful, among those who do nothing at all. They just exist and are out of this world. Those are the ones that we need, the people who have the courage to dare to be great, to dare to be different, to dare to keep on going, to dare to start that business, to dare to fail time and time again, but refuse to stay down. And that is what we need as entrepreneurs, as business people, wherever, whatever sphere of place you are in. So courage. all of us, like I said, have it. Because when we were toddlers, we were not born walking. We could not speak. We were mumbling words. But because we refused to allow our failures, even when people laughed at us, we still stood and kept on walking. 1, 2 step, 1, 2 step. Even when we were pronouncing words, none of us could pronounce as fluent as we do now. But we just kept on going. So we can still tap into that. But it's going to require us to be curious and to be creative with whatever is around us. Because in these changing worlds and changing times, it's not about not having resources, but it's about being unresourceful with what we have. Like we have already been told, we all have the ingredients, and we can go out and get more if we are missing ingredients in our pantry, and we can create something new. Having said that, those are the 3 C's that we want to challenge you today. That as you leave this place, have the curiosity to know more about yourself and to know more about the people around you. Because in knowing about the people around you, you know exactly what you can offer them that they're going to pay you for. And thus you have a business. And in getting to be curious about what you have in your own pantry, you're going to discover that you actually have so much more ingredients to bring about different food, you can cook anything and you can sell anything. So you don't need to conform to the standards of all people and everyone. You can be unique and you can be authentic and you can use your own experience, your own skills, and you can assimilate all those things to bring about something unique. So I want us to all to stand. In closing, we're going to do a quick affirmation. It's from my favorite poem by Marianne Williamson. It's called Our Deepest Fear. And I want us to do it this way. So what we do is, my favorite book tells me that out of our hearts comes the issue of life, and therefore we need to guard it. So sometimes out of our hearts are failures. There are a lot of things in our hearts, but within our hearts there's also ingredients that we can bring into this world. So I just want everyone to just pump their chest like this, not too hard, just soft, not too hard. And then you repeat after me. My deepest fear is not that I'm inadequate. My deepest fear is that I'm powerful beyond measure. I ask myself, who am I to be curious, to be creative, to be courageous, to be amazing? Actually, who am I not to be? I'm a child of God. I'm unique. I'm amazing. And as I dare to learn more about myself, learn more about others, I'll be able to create value for myself, for those around me. My playing small, there's nothing enlightened. I'm meant to shine as children do. I'm meant to be my authentic self. And I know that as I set myself free from the fears of insecurity, of self-doubt, I know I'll unconsciously give others the permission to do the same. As I tap into these 3 C's, curiosity, courage, and creativity, I'll leave a mark, and all that I live will echo in eternity. I know who I am. I am a champion, and I'm going to show it off to the world. Thank you so much.